Hi folks, a question I've often been asked over the years is, what do aliens look like? Well, in my own experience, the first alien I ever saw was, as I have documented well, through video and other forms, was a being who I first met in 2003. And I'd been told that he was, I would be sent a teacher and a mentor, and so it wasn't entirely unexpected, but what was unexpected was when I first encountered this being, when I woke up one night, having the sense that there was somebody standing in the room. And as I looked out, I saw this probably about 10 to 12 foot being standing at the edge of my bed. And he was cloaked. He had it almost looks like a monk's robe. And that was my first experience of seeing an alien. What shocked me then was just how large she was, because I didn't expect someone to be that large. We're not used to giants on this planet. And then my second experience was with when the first being became a teacher for me for a couple of months. Took me on, in his teaching, he took me on many journeys to see stuff outside what is commonly understood here. And he took me to meet my mentor, who was aiazmir. And after that, I never saw Maha again. But he introduced me to aiazmir when I didn't see aiazmir initially, because when I arrived on Sirius B, there was just a mist and I couldn't see who this person was. And then through the mist, I had this telepathic message saying, "May I enter?" So I didn't know who this person was who was giving me this message, but I agreed, yeah, you may enter. And then I saw this other 10 to 12 foot being who was probably about 11 foot tall. Because when he emerged from the mist, I was looking at his solar plexus. so it was about twice my size. And it was quite a shock for me again to understand that there are beings out there who are very, very large and can be quite intimidating because of their size. And as I've always been, I'm 5 foot 11.5 inches, so I'm quite a large man. But when you confronted with somebody who's that tall, you feel quite intimidated. But once I got over my intimidation, I actually began to, what I did was actually just stare into his eyes, which I did with the first being. Although the first being I couldn't really see his eyes, but the second one, he didn't have any clothes on. He was a humanoid figure, very tall. He had blue feathers on his body, but not large blue feathers. There were small blue feathers and then large blue feathers in different parts of his body. And yeah, he he had pretty much the same sort of features that I had. As a humanoid, if I plastered my body with feathers, I'd look the same as he did. But the one thing that was interesting about him that I found was his eyes were very large, and he seemed to be able to see through me. So he could read my thoughts and emotions, and he did his best to try to calm me and, assure me that I was not going to be harmed or hurt in any way. So that was the second being, and then as I met the community that he was a part of in Sirius B, which is like a cloistered community, introduced me to other parts of my family, because he essentially was me in another timeline who incarnated here. So essentially he and I are the same being. He introduced me to other members of the community there, and it was quite remarkable that they don't all look the same. So just as we have distinguishing features, so they also have distinguishing features. And so when you walk among them, you can actually recognize people through their distinguishing features. And I found that quite extraordinary at the time. But yeah, then he introduced me to another group of beings that were part of their community that had sought refuge in Sirius B from another planet that was under threat, and then got blown up, and these beings had escaped and sought refuge in Sirius B, and they were what were called the light and silver ones. The gold and silver ones. The gold and silver ones, because their hair was a golden color, was very long and hung back to just below about where the shoulder blades emerge, and they were very beautiful people, but very shy, and I didn't see much of them. And when I approached them, they were reticent to actually communicate with me, because they are deeply, deeply shy people. And the gold and silver ones were the second, but they had robes, white robes that glowed. That's why they're gold and silver, and the white robes glowed a silver color. So I don't know where they came from. I didn't ask, but they were now part of the community on Sirius B. And then one day I asked my higher self, I said, well, what do the rest of the aliens look like? How will we recognize them? And he said that the earth, when it was seeded here, and this is going to be difficult for people to accept or understand, the seeding of earth, the consciousness of earth was seeded from many, many other star systems and dimensional planes, and who had contributed their DNA and their soul codes to this planet, so that they wanted to create this magnificent, what they call the jewel of the universe, and they wanted to create this beautifully diverse place called Eartha. They called it Eartha, URTHA. because Earth is actually a piece of rock that was blown away from another planet called Tara, and so all the beings who were on Tara had a connection to Tara and this piece of rock that had come apart, and so they reseeded the Earth, and in a way that all these dimensional beings and beings from other space-time continuum would donate their DNA. So the original, geneticists who created all the species here were from many dimensions, but led by the beings on Sirius B. And so when I asked him that question, what do aliens look like? He said, well, aliens look like just about every species you have on Earth. This is going to be a hard one for people to understand, that the vegetable species that are very much alive and well and sentient beings, and they have a place in the universe. So all the vegetable trees, the plants, the flowers, and so on, were all seeded here from alien species. So yeah, what do aliens look like? They may look like trees. They might look like flowers, but it all has to do with dimensionality, and how these dimensions work, and in soul evolution. Then we have the insect beings here on this planet, and we have the insects, the grasshoppers, the flies, the many worm species under the earth who create and so an alien might look like that. If one looks at the insect beings, there's the reptilians. There's a difference between a reptilian and a Dracos, because the Dracos are the dragons beings, and the reptilians look more like lizards and snakes. So yeah, that's kind of what you can expect out there in the universe, because they're all sentient beings and have the same consciousness that we have. They have the same soul template, just they look a little different because their soul codes are different from ours. Their soul codes determine their DNA, so their DNA will be part of, and represent what they look like. And then you had the aliens like the blue-feathered people on Sirius B, but they're also the white aliens, the dove people, which aren't active on our planet, but they do exist, and I haven't seen them, but my higher self described them to me. They're very peaceful, kind, loving beings who are covered by white feathers. And then you had the fish species, like our whales and our dolphins and so on. They're just a species that come from somewhere else, and they are immersed in water, and they have their existence in water, but water is just a medium in which energy is transferred. We don't understand that, but that's what it is. So the beings out there who are fish species, who look like whales, who look like dolphins, who look like all the other fish, the crabs and so on. So, there's innumerable numbers of different ways that beings can represent themselves. And, there's a lot of talk about the reptilians or this and the draconians or this. But the reptilians and draconians are not per se or an obvious fact that they are good or bad. It's just that there was a race, a break-off race of reptilians who came to this planet who chose to, subdue humanity, and they created their doctrines and their dogma around the notion of reptiles, the snake that seduced Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, and that's what they do. These beings will just present themselves in other forms. If you look around the planet, all our religious, all the ancient and even recent religious buildings, they are icons, they are reptilians. And then the animal kingdom has also a large number of extraterrestrials who look like animals. My first encounter with a Maha, I only saw his face once, but in profile. And I didn't see the detail because it was dark, and he looked like a wolf. And the feline races all over the universe, and the felines come from the constellation of Leo. And so some will look like lions, some will look like be cat-like and graceful, and some will have yellow and black stripes in their bodies like our tigers and leopards. They're all kinds of races. They're elephants in the universe. Now, the elephants are the very, very advanced race of beings. And I've had a lot of interaction with elephants, and they telepath. And they are very wise and, how can I say, knowing. They're smarter, a lot smarter than human beings, as are the whales and the dolphins. Human beings are pretty dumb here, actually. Excuse me for saying that, but really, humans kill each other, They harm each other. That is crazy in the universe. This is not acceptable. So what do aliens look like? They look like anything and everything. You look outside your home and whatever you see blade of grass. There's species of aliens that look like grass. Then you think, well, no, come on, how does it work? Well, that's what I'm trying to explain to everybody, that there's a soul evolutionary process that we go through. We were once minerals, amoeba, elementals, vegetables, animals, aliens, fish. And so we emerge as humans, and so we look human. But humans are not the ultimate expression of the universe. There are many, many different expressions. So if you want to know what the aliens look like, they can come in many, many different forms and in many, many different dimensions. So it's best humans begin to understand how this works in the universe, because otherwise you're just not going to be able to navigate your way through this system and understand how it works. So yeah, that's what aliens look like. Sort of. Look, there's a lot more to tell, but I want to keep you short. Thank you. Bye-bye. Love you.